Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Stand Tall. It's a song from the latest album by the band Sqwerv. The album, Wonder, is available along with Sqwerv's previous releases wherever you get your music. Sqwerv just performed with Breadbox at the Caribou Room. And if you want to learn more about Sqwerv as a band and keep an eye out for their upcoming shows and releases, be sure to head to their website at Sqwerv, that's SQWERV.com. Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. This is now going to serve as a retrospective episode because, unfortunately, the show that this is promoting has already passed. We hope you enjoyed the last episode of the Mountaineer Podcast, which featured our brand new team member, Tyler Hickman. He'll be bringing more episodes like this to you guys in the very near future, and we're going to try and finally shift to a more cemented schedule. So hopefully this will be the last weekend episode of the podcast you'll see for a while. Before we get started with today's Music of the Mountains interviews, if you haven't subscribed to the Mountaineer and you want to support local news from peak to peak, be sure to head to the mtnear.com and click on the subscribe button in the top right corner of our homepage. From there, you'll get full access to our digital archives and scanned copies of our physical newspaper, and you can choose to send physical subscriptions to your mailbox or to the mailbox of someone that you love. If you're interested in being involved in the newspaper or the podcast in any way, shape, or form, be sure to reach out to info@themountaineer.com to contact our editor-in-chief, Barbara Hart, media@themountaineer.com to contact myself, and or front desk at themountaineer.com. You can also call us directly at 303-810-5409. And finally, our top story today, brought to you by Brittany Wagner.
Our top story today comes from Christopher Kelly, From Ashes, Hope. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the fire took their jobs, their livelihoods, their sense of being. In that time, the victims of the Lakeview fire have picked up the pieces, both figuratively and literally, as they've slowly, one by one, been allowed to rummage through the wreckage of their beloved shops. For some, sifting through what remains is a surreal moment, as those remains lie in what used to be such a busy and vibrant place that is now just a collection of blackened rubble. That rubble can appear as a long-awaited respite, the result of a loud and violent suggestion that maybe it's time for a vacation. Some feel that they've just lost their daily routine, their responsibilities, but others feel the loss more deeply. They've lost their dreams and their windows into our community. For the full story, you can find it in this week's Mountaineer or at themountaineer.com.
Thank you, Brittany, for bringing us our top story. And now, let's get into this week's Music of the Mountains episode. Our first guest, do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Yeah, my name is Frydenlund, and I play guitar and sing in the band out of Denver called Sqwerv.
And Sqwerv just performed as the headlining act at the Caribou Room. You want to talk a bit about that venue and show?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, so this will be our second time playing at the Caribou Room in Nederland there. We haven't played in the Nederland area too much, so it's an exciting play for us. Last time we played with a band called Squeaky Feet, and we opened up the night for them. So this time it'll be us headlining the show, and yeah, we have a band called Breadbox opening it up. They are a Jerry Garcia tribute band, and they're freaking awesome. They have some killer players in that band, one of which is the guitar player from Psych, plays with them, Patrick Harvey. And yeah, they're just an awesome band. I think Tyler Adams from the Jaunty plays keys with them too. Not positive if they'll both be on this gig, but they were the last time I saw them, and pretty awesome stuff from them. But yeah, we're excited to be back at the Caribou Room. It's a really cool venue, and the Nederland community was super awesome last time we were up there.
The show happened on Friday, November 7th. So, Guy, I'm curious, how did Sqwerv start as a band?
So, Sqwerv came out of Denver. We all met, for the most part, at music school at CU Denver. We all went there for performance in our respective instruments. And yeah, then our keys player, Jack Marty, who grew up in Longmont, actually joined the band a little later. He hit us up because we didn't have a keys player, and he was like, hey, do you guys want a keys player? And we were like, yeah. And this was right about 2019 when he joined the band. The band was around for 2 or 3 years before he joined, and we had a couple different members at that point, but this lineup has been going the 4-piece since about 2020, and then we came out of COVID and have just been performing in this lineup since. But yeah, we came out of Denver, all went to music school there, met there, and just started writing music together, and have been doing the thing since.
And I'd love to hear from you specifically about your background in music, where you started, how you got into performing in Sqwerv, all that kind of stuff.
Cool. Yeah, so I went to CU Denver they have a degree there, or they did, I believe they still do, but it was a singer-songwriter emphasis. And that was my goal at the time, was to really focus on that element of music. I really enjoyed writing songs more from maybe a folk perspective. You know, it was really just me and my acoustic guitar, occasionally piano. But I went to school for songwriting, and that included some basic composition classes, and obviously a lot of music theory classes, some music business classes, and things like that. So they kind of give you a well-rounded education on just music in general, but then the focus, you know, especially as you get later into the program, is more in-depth, I would say, learning on how to craft a song and just different ways you can approach it, and cool ways to approach lyric writing from all different methods that are out there. And so it was a lot of classmate to classmate feedback and writing circles and co-writing sessions and stuff like that for how to write songs, or at least ways you can approach writing songs, because there's no rules on that, in my opinion. But yeah, I went for that kind of focus, but then ended up unexpectedly finding bandmates that I really enjoyed playing with, and then music taste evolved by being exposed to just a lot of different things out there in Denver and in the music world in a greater sense. And so now find myself playing in this band, and we've been making it our full focus for the past 2 years now.
What kinds of music do you guys primarily focus on?
So we call ourselves an everything rock band because we are open to playing any style of music because we just enjoy it. We love playing all types of music and really try not to close the door on anything. It keeps things fun and fresh for us just to be able to try and play new styles. And yeah, we also do a lot of improvisation live. So we fall into the jam band scene quite often, which is really cool because it's a wonderful community of people, and we love trying to create something new and fresh in the moment as well. But in terms of songwriting, yeah, I do a majority of the songwriting for the band. At least I will write, I'll say the foundation or the skeleton of a lot of the songs. And that's just me writing on my guitar typically, and just having, the lyrics and the main melody and a chord progression or harmony. And then a lot of times the other members will write their own parts. So everybody has their own freedom and individual expression within the songs, which is really cool. But I'm not the only one who writes the songs either. We all bring together songwriting to the band. Jack does and Caden does. Jack is our keys player and Caden is our bass player. Zach on drums is still waiting to pump out a tune, but he's working on that actively. That's his next goal, is to get a song in the rotation. But he has always a lot of creative input in our songwriting process as well, so he's still a big part of it. But he we're waiting on him to write one from the roots, and he's working on it. So.
And can you talk about where the name Sqwerv came from in the first place?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So basically, there is folklore about this waterfall in Norway, and I'm Norwegian, and one time I was visiting my grandmother out there, and the story goes that if you take an offering to this waterfall, there's a spirit that lives under it called the Fossagrimmen, and if you bring an offering to this spirit, then you'll either be told a tune or a melody or how to tune your instrument. Some sort of musical inspiration is often found here, and so when I was visiting my grandmother, she packed me up a little Ziploc bag full of hot dogs, and I went out and took it to the waterfall and presented it there. And I hate to say I wasn't inspired with the music per se, but it was so interesting. The foam and falling water there, right behind kind of the mist, I started to see this strange form appear, and it sort of reflected almost like a prism, like a rainbow, you would see, but it started to take on the shape of a square curve is the best way I could describe it. It was kind of amorphous, but that's the best way I have to describe this form, and that's kind of where the name Sqwerv comes from.
In terms especially of playing with Sqwerv, what are some of your favorite parts about being able to perform live and share this music with an audience?
I think so we just came back from a month-long tour. We were out in the Midwest and the Southeast and along the East Coast there. And I think one of the coolest things for us that really came to light in this tour was just that our music is meaningful to people and not just us. Our music seems to be really having an impact on people's lives in a really cool way. Just the fact that this music is reaching people and we have people letting us know that it means something to them has been a really powerful experience for us. And I think being able to perform this stuff that we write in our living room and that we have sometimes a goofy time or sometimes it's songs that come from the heart and are really based off something serious that happened in our lives or really affected us, or whether we're just genuinely having fun for ourselves writing these silly songs, the fact that people are really connecting with them in different parts of the country and wanting to come see it live and experience it live has been really special. So that gives us a unique energy every night. Every room's a little different, and we have these spots for improv in our songs that it's always fun to see what the night's going to be like because it's never the same show for us. And I think that keeps it fresh and exciting for us as players too. We don't know necessarily what's going to happen every night.
Is there anything that you hope people will take away from your shows or your music when they come to see you guys?
It's almost less connected to the music itself, but I think one thing that's important to me personally is that when you come to our shows is that there's just an environment of being able to be yourself and be comfortable. And I think our fans are creating that environment, and that's something we almost have nothing to do with in some essence. That's like maybe just the type of people our music tends to attract. Maybe that's just an idealistic view, but I think creating an environment for people to just come be themselves, have fun, be weird, feel sad, feel the full spectrum of emotion, because our songs go across a huge spectrum of emotional range, and we'll do that all in one show. And just people being open to that energy, I think creating an environment for that is one of our biggest hopes. That maybe wasn't something we intended on a while back, but we're starting to see as a really beautiful byproduct of what we're doing and maybe of what our music does without us knowing that would happen. Beyond that, our goal, as lofty as it may seem, was always to try and create a transcendent or transportational experience for people like we've experienced when we see some of our favorite bands. Let the music take you to a place where only live music can or music in general can. That's another goal of ours, and can't always reach that every night. I think, it wouldn't be special if it happened every single night, but that's another goal of ours as well.
Is this part of a tour or supporting shows that have been supporting a new release at all?
Yeah, we just released a new album called Wonder that we did tour and we got our first vinyl pressings of, so we have vinyl for that now, which is really exciting. It's our first ever vinyl. And yeah, this tour was kind of the Wonder tour, if you will, although it wasn't titled as such. And yeah, we got to tour this new album of ours, and this Netherlands show will be the final show on this run, technically. I mean, we're playing in Denver this weekend for Halloween weekend, and then we're coming up for Netherlands next weekend. So it's really our last shows until December, and this kind of felt like the cap to it, to our fall run as we move into the winter stages of our shows. So yeah, this will kind of be the final show for a little bit for us, so it'll be good for us to really get to go after it. I think we'll have 2 sets on the night, hopefully, and yeah.
And yeah, is there anything else in general about Sqwerv that you wanted to make sure we covered?
We have a real cool show we're announcing next week for the Denver area. I can't talk about it just yet, but we're playing at a really cool, unique, weird venue in Denver that is relatively newer spot, but yeah, we're really excited for it, and it'll be our first time at this venue, and we're doing that just before New Year's. And then we are doing our actual New Year's shows in the Colorado mountain range, and yeah, then we're going on a big Pacific Northwest and West Coast tour early next year. So those are our big plans right now. Recording a new record this next month as well is our goal. So a lot of things in the works.
By the way, we can talk about that venue now, although it is, of course, not in our jurisdiction. If you're interested in learning more about their upcoming show at Meow Wolf, in purchasing tickets for that show or for other shows that are coming up, or to learn more about the band in general, be sure to head to their website at Sqwerv, that's SQWERV.com. Well, we talked to the headliners of this past Caribou Room show on November 7th. Now, let's talk to the opening act. Our next guests, do you mind introducing yourselves real quick?
Yeah, I'm Heather Olson, and I'm one of the backup vocalists for Breadbox.
And my name's Phil Jude. I'm a vocalist and a guitarist for Breadbox.
It's exciting to be able to talk to you guys about that Caribou Room show, too.
Yeah, really looking forward to it this Friday, November 7th at the Caribou Room, opening for our good buddy Sqwerv. Really excited for it.
So how did Breadbox begin as a band?
Yeah, so in 2021, there's another vocalist, Miranda Rosalie. She and I were in just a couple Grateful Dead bands around town in Denver in the Front Range, and, we're just kind of playing with some friends of ours, and the other guitarist in Breadbox, Patrick Harvey, he and I are really good friends from growing up in Kentucky together. And he came to me one day after seeing Miranda and I play and basically said, "Hey, do you want to play some Jerry Garcia tunes together?" And I said, "Yeah." And that was basically the start of Breadbox. We're really fortunate to know a lot of really great musicians in this area. So Patty basically put together a band consisting of our current keyboardist, Tyler Adams, our really great drummer, Cody Wales, bass player, Zach Jackson, and we had our first gig at Herman's Hideaway in May of 2021. And we've had a lot of rotating members over the past several years, but Heather joined the band, I believe it was it April?
It was March of 2023.
March of 2023. So ever since then, it's been a pretty solid lineup with me, Heather, and Miranda on vocals, and our drummer Kirk Larson, bass player Zach Flynn, guitarist Patrick Harvey, and keyboardist Tyler Adams.
Oh my gosh, I've interviewed Cody Wales in the past. I didn't realize he was connected to you guys.
Yeah, Cody's great. He was definitely with us on a lot of early shows. We've had a lot of really great drummers. Will Trask is a really good friend of ours, and he's actually going to be playing with us on Friday at Caribou Room. Kirk is in the Magic Bean, so he has some obligations with them. So Will Trask will actually be sitting in with us. So we're really excited to have him, and it's, a really great group of people.
So you guys consider yourselves not just a tribute band and not just a cover band, but also a lover band. So I'm curious, how do you choose the songs that you perform in each set? Which songs from the Jerry Garcia band and which songs in general do you end up performing in your sets?
Yeah, we do a lot of Jerry Garcia band originals and then also the covers in that style. So I guess when we say we're a Jerry Garcia lover band, I think it comes out in the music that we're really high energy with music that can sometimes be more laid back. I know a lot of us are big Phish fans or have really upbeat references. And I think that just comes out when we're playing. It's like these people really love this music, and we tend to go maybe harder and less chill than you would see in other Jerry Garcia acts. Not saying there's anything wrong with either way. That's just the way that it turns out for us.
And how have you guys evolved over the years in terms of how you play these songs, how you arrange the songs, how you make them feel like their own thing?
Yeah, so we're really fortunate, again, with all the musicians that we play with and their bands. They bring their own influences and their own kind of high energy. So we've evolved in ways where we will have really long kind of extended jam sections between songs where we're melding songs together, going from one song to another, getting a little weird and sometimes chaotic and fun in between. And, trying to arrange set lists in ways that, are similar to maybe what Jerry Garcia bands and Jerry would put together, but with some surprises and kind of mixes of different eras. So for example, one song we really like doing, it's called Mighty High, and it's a 70s disco gospel song that Jerry band really only did for a couple of years in 76 and 77, I think. And they never really played it that often, but we love playing it a lot. So we'll mix it into a set list where, it's a bunch of songs that he would do in the 90s, and then we're mixing songs from the 70s. And we try to stay really diverse, like Heather was saying, with the references and high energy kind of influences we all have. We bring that to the way that we approach the music, and we're not trying to copy or mimic or sound like any one thing. We're just trying to sound like people who love playing Jerry Garcia tunes.
Yeah, so while we're covering it, we don't need to be the Jerry Garcia band. We can be the lover band of it, instead of a full cover band that's really staying totally true to all the elements of each song.
Yeah.
And has the lineup changed a ton? Has there been a change in terms of what instruments are used in the band as a whole?
So not so much in the instruments. So we've always been a 2-guitar band. Pat Harvey is a tremendous guitar player, so he takes more of a lead guitar role. We've always had Tyler Adams on primarily organ, Hammond B3 organ with, some synthesizers and stuff. We've always had one drummer, always had one bass player. Originally, the vocal section, it was just Miranda and I. So just me and her doing kind of harmonies ourselves. But the addition of a third female vocalist, or I guess second female vocalist, third vocalist together, that was always elusive, always something that we tried really hard to nail. We had a lot of people sit in. It sounded good, but not great. And then when Heather joined the band, it just all kind of clicked. And we all started rolling from there. So the vocal progression, I think, is the most significant evolution of the sound, I guess.
And what influences has everybody brought to the band as a whole?
So just speaking for myself, I grew up as a really big Grateful Dead fan. From the time I was in high school, it was basically my favorite kind of music to listen to and to play on guitar and to study that world and kind of connect with. And that's kind of evolved into Phish, going to Phish shows and meeting friends. That's how I've met a lot of mutual friends in the Breadbox family. So I think that spirit of kind of going out and seeing live music really brought all of us together, and then playing live music. I really credit Patty, the guitarist, with kind of bringing in a lot of really great players and a lot of really heavy hitters to join as part of the band. It's all just music that we know and love and that the crowd connects with. So there's something special when we're playing a song and it's a song that maybe someone hasn't heard very often or hasn't heard it 30 years, and they connect in that special way. So there's anyone who listens to Grateful Dead music or Jerry Garcia music in general will kind of understand that special feeling, that moment when, the right note hits in the right way kind of thing. That appreciation and respect for all kinds of music, I think, is what brought us together.
And I should have asked this earlier, but can you guys talk a bit about your own musical backgrounds and how you got started in music in the first place?
Yeah, I'll speak for myself. I sang in choirs for a lot of years, classic choirs that you have throughout school. And then for a few years, I took it off and then would just sing casually with friends. And for my relationship with the music too, mine started more as a friendship with Miranda that led to getting to learn all of this music. So she knew that I sang. So it's been fun becoming a part of this community and being eye-opened to a different musical experience. So many other musical acts don't have quite the community feel that this one does. But that's my background, was typically in choirs and that sort of setting.
Yeah, I played a lot of acoustic, singer-songwriter, guitar in high school and college, and was in bands here and there. During COVID, really had a lot of free time on my hands and really was listening to a lot of Grateful Dead music and decided to dive into studying the whole thing again with Jerry's guitar playing and how to approach that music. And at that time, Miranda, she was singing in bands around Denver with a lot of really great players, a lot of really great singers. So I would always go see shows of hers and be like, man, that's cool. I wish I could do that. And then turns out we had a show together. It was like an acoustic show playing an old Grateful Dead record, The Reckoning, which is an acoustic show from 1980. But ever since then, we had that first show and I just loved it and got hooked on it. And as far as the other musicians in the band go, full-time touring professional musicians. So Pat Harvey's in a band called Cycles, nationwide touring band. Tyler's in the John T nationwide touring band, Kirk and Magic Beans, and their Beanstalk Festival, which is one of the best, I think, in Colorado every year. And Zach Flynn is in Eminence Ensemble. So again, nationwide touring band for years, if not decades, probably at this point for a lot of those guys. And went to music school. A lot of them did in, Chicago and New York and stuff. And just really diverse perspectives and diverse backgrounds and diverse approaches to music. Because we're not all deadheads. Me and Miranda and Patty, I think, are we know all the deep cuts and the deep references, and we're just kind of nerding out while everyone else kind of has their eyes glazed over sometimes. But no, it's a lot of fun, and it brings a fresh approach to everything.
And what's been fun for you guys about being able to perform live, particularly in a band setting like this?
Well, this was my first experience in a band setting at all, and I think it's just like the energy of the crowd and getting to communicate all together and like seeing a crowd really get excited for what we're doing. Some shows that come to mind, we had an incredible show at New Terrain Brewing a year or two ago, and now we played there twice since I've been with the band, and I feel like that was the first show that we did that I was like, oh wow, like this can be really magical, and everyone in the audience almost knows what's coming at the same time that we do, and it seems like everyone, including the audience, is all coming together with it. We did like a show at Cervantes in the summer that was the same way. It's just like this great energy and this great vibe. And it's like so exciting, especially as a vocalist where our instrument is our own, but it's also part of a larger instrument, that it's just when the harmonies are really hitting and we're all coming together, it's just really magical in a way. It feels really good. So that's kind of what I like about performing live.
Well said, yeah. Couldn't say it any better myself.
Is there anything that you hope people will be able to take away from your shows when they come to see you guys?
Being surprised at how high energy it was. A lot of times after shows, people will come up and, they maybe have one expectation or one thought about how a certain song might sound or a set might sound, and they're just a lot of times really have a lot of really nice things to say about how much they appreciate the energy and the authenticity and the charisma that we bring to it. It's fresh every time, and it's music that's really easy to get lost in a good way. So hopefully people can get lost with us in those songs.
And yeah, is there anything else about Breadbox that you guys want to be able to talk about before we sign off?
Just the night after Caribou Room, it'll be our first time playing in Netherlands that night, but then the night after we're headed to Steamboat Springs, to Old Town Pub, which was a great time for all of us. Great setting to perform in. It was fun to bond as a band afterward. And yeah, so if anyone's up in Steamboat Springs on November 8th, you can follow us over there and check us out that night too.
Yeah, we're also going to be in Denver at Cervantes on Friday, January 30th, opening for Kyle Hollingsworth's band. So we'll be on the ballroom side for that, which we're really excited for. And yeah, we're really excited for the show on Friday with Sqwerv. Jack Marty, the keyboardist from Sqwerv, is a good friend of ours. He's actually sat in with Breadbox on a number of shows over the years and other projects and stuff. So he's a good buddy of ours. Maybe we'll ask him to get up for a song during our set, maybe. But yeah, the Caribou Room is one of those places where if you know, you know, and definitely for the town of Ned, it's a really special place. I've been going to see shows there for years, probably over a decade now, for living out here. And yeah, we're just really fortunate and lucky to play for that community.
In that case, I think those are the big questions that I have on my end.
That's great. Appreciate the time, Jamie.
Thank you so much to Heather and Phil for jumping on and talking about Breadbox for the podcast. If you want to keep up with Breadbox as a band, be sure to head to their website at breadboxjgb.com. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the podcast. In the meantime, if you want to share this episode or others around with whoever you see fit, then be sure to send the link of this episode from wherever you're listening to it now to a friend, or head to our website at the mtnear.com and find our podcast archive embed in the Mountaineer Media homepage section. You can listen to the Mountaineer Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Podchaser, or by heading to our homepage or to our podcast's main hub at the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com. If you head to the Mountaineer Media section of our homepage, you can also find our Facebook and our YouTube page. And you can find our Instagram page at mtn.ear. Again, be sure to subscribe to The Mountaineer today if you want to support local news from peak to peak, and reach out to anybody here at the paper, info@themountaineer.com, media@themountaineer.com, or front desk at themountaineer.com to ask us any questions or let us know that you want to be involved. You can also call us directly at 303-810-5409. And finally, be sure to keep an eye out on our homepage events calendar to see what events are coming up in your venue or in your community. And be sure to submit your own by posting to the events calendar yourself. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your day.
Maybe you'd like to give me kisses sweet. did run away, never called.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Second That Emotion. It's a cover of a song written by Smokey Robinson and Al Cleveland and included as a regular part of the repertoire of Jerry Garcia. This version is performed by Breadbox, who just performed as a supporting act with Sqwerv at the Caribou Room in Netherlands. If you want to keep an eye out for more shows and more events featuring Breadbox, be sure to head to their website at breadboxjgb.com.
Time to mess around. Maybe you think that love will make a fool, so it makes you wise to break the rule. Well, little girl, in that case, I don't want no part. Love will only break my heart.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.